Welcome to This Explainer. Okay, let's be honest right out of the gate. Have you ever just sat there staring at a blinking cursor for like hours? Or maybe suddenly decided you absolutely had to reorganize your entire desk instead of writing that one crucial email? Yeah, we've all been there. Today we're going to look under the hood of your brain to unpack the fascinating neurobiology behind why we avoid tasks and how we can use actual science to finally take action. So, let's address the elephant in the room with a question that honestly instantly validates the struggle of pretty much every busy professional out there. Is your chronic task avoidance really a moral failing? For decades, society has told us that if we just had more willpower or a bit more grit, we wouldn't put things off. But as we're going to see from the latest neuropsychology, that whole concept of laziness is a scientifically obsolete construct. Here is our roadmap for today. We'll be covering 1. The myth of laziness. 2. Inside the neural battlefield. 3. Burnout, depression, or dysfunction. 4. The friction formula. And 5. The physiology of action. All right, let's jump right in. Section 1. The myth of laziness. We're starting strong by dismantling those pop psychology myths that just make us feel guilty about our lack of willpower. It is time to stop the self-criticism and look at the actual data. You know that famous rule that says it takes exactly 21 days to form a habit? Well, Dr. Pippa Lally's research over at University College London completely debunks that. Her data shows that behavior change is highly variable, ranging anywhere from 18 to 254 days. It just goes to show that simply knowing what you should do does not equal behavior change. The absolutely crucial point here is that we need to reframe our struggles. We're moving away from the shame of that old view and recognizing the reality of the new science. When you can't start a task, your brain's management system, which sits up there in the prefrontal cortex, is experiencing real neurological friction. You aren't failing morally. Your executive control is just temporarily wiped out. Moving along to Section 2, Inside the Neural Battlefield. Every time you face a tedious or uncertain task, an invisible war literally breaks out inside your head. Your brain's threat detection hub, the amygdala, actually treats it like physical pain. It triggers a defensive stress response called a limbic hijack. In plain English, your brain desperately wants a quick hit of dopamine to relieve that pain, making you reach for the nearest, easiest distraction. Dr. Lally's research gives us this incredible way to picture it. Think of your brain's competing impulses like crying babies in a nursery. Your brain is naturally going to attend to whichever one is crying the loudest. This perfectly explains why a sudden emotional threat, like a really stressful email, can easily overpower a stable, ingrained habit. We have to use deliberate strategies to quiet those screaming emotional impulses down. And here's the thing. Procrastination isn't just one single issue. It falls into 4 distinct neurochemical profiles. Arousal procrastinators put things off to get a dopamine rush from deadline panic, meaning they need artificial urgency. Avoidant types fear failure, so they need micro-initiation. Productive procrastinators will do literally any low-priority chore to avoid the big one. And decisional types suffer from overload in the brain's decision-making hub and need strict time boxing. Diagnosing your specific type is absolutely key to bypassing it. Let's dig a bit deeper into this in Section 3, Burnout, Depression, or Dysfunction. We really have to diagnose the root cause of this paralysis, because mislabeling these overlapping states can actually degrade our neural circuits. If we treat deep burnout like a simple time management issue, we are only making the physiological damage worse. Occupational burnout is situational. It happens when your environment demands more than your bandwidth can handle, resulting in a blunted morning cortisol response. You're literally running on empty. Clinical depression, on the other hand, is a pervasive mood disorder marked by an overactive stress response system. A vacation's not going to fix that. Knowing what you're up against changes your entire approach to recovery. While executive dysfunction is highly treatable, it's vital we keep an eye out for clinical red flags. If task paralysis comes with sudden personality shifts, memory loss, confusion, or profound depression, this isn't just a productivity issue anymore. These symptoms mean you need immediate medical evaluation. Okay, let's talk solutions. Section 4, the friction formula. We are pivoting now to our behavioral prescriptions, starting with environment design. Think of your environment like the current of a river. You can try swimming against it, but eventually you'll just exhaust your willpower. The moment of truth isn't when a snack craving hits at 9 p.m. It's the moment you went grocery shopping. If the junk food isn't in the house, you don't need willpower to resist it. It's time to stop fighting the current and start redirecting it. So how do we redirect it? By combining BJ Fogg's friction formula with the Japanese Kaizen method. First, identify the habit.
Second, count the steps it takes to actually do it. Third, engineer the friction. Remove steps to build a good habit and add steps to break a bad one. Finally, use the Kaizen 1-minute rule. Commit to doing the task for just 60 seconds. That's it. It completely sneaks past your amygdala's overwhelming fear of starting.
Let's look at some super simple examples. Want to read more? Put the book right on your pillow. Want to spend less time on your phone at night? Charge it in the kitchen. Boom. Spending just one afternoon reorganizing your space creates a system that runs on autopilot. You're quite literally outsourcing your willpower to your environment. Which brings us to our final piece of the puzzle, Section 5, the physiology of action. Listen, no amount of environment design is going to work if your brain is starving for energy. Check this out. A shocking 60% increase in amygdala reactivity happens when you restrict your sleep to 6 hours or fewer. When you're sleep deprived, you are basically starving your prefrontal cortex of glucose, which means your brain is 60% more likely to just panic and choose procrastination over productivity. To prevent the cognitive fatigue that triggers task avoidance, we need glycemic stability. Just look at this breakdown. Half your plate should be vegetables and fruits for antioxidants, a quarter lean proteins to provide the amino acids to synthesize dopamine, and a quarter whole grains to regulate insulin spikes. This method gives your brain a predictable, steady supply of energy so you don't crash. And of course, we cannot talk about physiology without talking about movement. As seen in clinical studies, even those involving heroin addicts in recovery, physical exercise is a massive non-pharmaceutical intervention. Aerobic exercise releases orexin and BDNF, which literally rebuilds damaged prefrontal networks. Meanwhile, resistance training significantly boosts your inhibitory control and lowers your baseline stress. Movement is, quite literally, scaffolding for your mind. To wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this provocative thought from James Clear. You do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. Success is absolutely not about fighting your neurobiology or shaming yourself for a lack of willpower. It's about building the physiological and environmental scaffolding that supports the way your brain actually works. Start small, design your environment, and give your brain the fuel it needs. Thank you so much for joining me to unpack the science of action today.